you're very welcome to join us here this evening for our webinar focused on your future with physics. And I am joined by some of my colleagues and some student ambassadors, and they're going to talk to you all about the different physics programs in TU Dublin and the opportunities from them. But before we get into it, I'd just like to introduce you to TU Dublin. And also, you may have spent some time researching your course options on our website, and we are currently holding a feedback session for our usability of our website. So you can be in with a chance of winning a €50 gift card for providing feedback if you scan the QR code that's on screen there. So as I mentioned, I'm going to give you the introduction. My colleague Siobhan then is going to talk to you about our physics programs and then do a meet our student ambassadors session. And we have a great diversity of students here, from current students to our graduate students and our alumni. And then we will open for Q&A at the end. So you may notice that the chat function is currently closed, but we will open that at the end of the presentations just before we start interviewing our ambassadors. So if you have any questions at that stage, we ask you put them in the chat and they'll be addressed. Or if you have any specific questions that you're not comfortable asking during the session, we will provide an email address at the end for further follow-up contacts. So who are we here at TU Dublin? So TU Dublin is Ireland's largest technological university. We were also the first technological university in Ireland. So you may have known us previously as DIT, IT Tala and IT Blanchardstown before we amalgamated into TU Dublin. So we cover programs from all levels, from apprenticeship right up to PhD. So at the moment, we're looking at our undergraduate programs, but bear in mind that you can continue your studies here with us through to a master's, a postgraduate and a PhD. We're made up of approximately 3,500 staff and 27,000 students from 138 nationalities across our 5 different locations in Dublin. And while you may feel like 27,000 students is a lot, our staff to student ratio is very good and it keeps our small class sizes. Some other considerations for why you may choose TU Dublin are, as I mentioned, the first technological university. And this means that we're a very practice-based university. So not only will you be spending time in lectures, listening and learning your academic theory, but you'll also get a lot of practical hands-on time in workshops, in labs, and practical projects. So it's an opportunity for you to really practice the skills that you're learning and become workplace ready. As I mentioned, we're a large university, but we retain our small class sizes, which is great. It gives you an opportunity to know your lecturers and for them to know you on a one-on-one case. So it means they're there for any additional support, questions you might have, and a more personalized teaching approach. We have our long tradition of academic excellence that's well respected by industry employers, and we're very lucky to have many industry employers working alongside us, whether it be for our work placements and internships or different industry projects or graduate recruitment fairs. We also have the ladder of progression from our level 6, 7s onto our level 8, which I'll touch on in just a moment. We also have our access admission schemes. So if you're from a socioeconomic disadvantaged area, you can apply in through the HERE scheme if you're coming from a DESH school, or through the DARE access route if you're coming with a disability or learning disability. So these schemes give you things like reduced points entry, additional support, access to the access office. They do their own induction. There's additional time and support given, say, around academic exams and assignments. So great support options there for you. And we also have a variety of scholarship opportunities. You can catch our most recent webinar on our website, which went through our elite sports program. So if you're taking part in sport at elite level, you can qualify for the elite sports scholarship. So just an idea of some other technological universities around the world. Another one in Ireland is MTU, so Munster Technological University. There's also some other ones you may be aware of, such as the Hamburg University of Technology, the University of Ontario, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So well regarded and recognised worldwide, the Institutes of Technologies. As I mentioned, we have 5 campus locations. They are Blanchardstown and Tala, which are both outside of the city centre, and then our 3 city centre campuses, which are Ainger Street, which is mostly our business campus, Bolton Street, mostly for engineering, and Grange Gorman, which is our new purpose-built city centre campus, which is where the programmes we're going to speak to you about today are based. And as you'll see there in our disclaimer, you always know what campus you're applying to on the CAO. It will always list the course and the campus location. So the ladder progression system. So this is where you can come into the university on a level 7 program. And in your 3rd year of study, that's a 3-year program, you'll be asked, once you're meeting the minimum requirements, if you would like to continue on and transition into the level 8 program. So you'll see from the diagram here, it says a level 7 year 3 feeds into a level 8 year 4, but also into a year 3 on some of the courses, which is the case for our physics programs. So once you complete your 3 years at the level 7, you can then transition into the year 3 of the level 8 and get the opportunity to continue on your studies and graduate with an honours level 8 degree as well. So it's a great opportunity for you to come in. We always say consider your level 7 options. The points and the minimum entry requirements are slightly lower. So if your leaving cert results don't go as well for you on the day as you had planned, you have this alternative option. And on your CAO for the offer rounds, you will always be offered something on your level 7 and your level 8 side once you meet the minimum entry requirements. So don't put all your eggs in one basket relying on the level 8 option. Keep your options open. And in TU Dublin, we have 12 different discipline areas, as you can see here. So we have a wide variety of different subjects, but our physics programs sit under our School of Science and Health. So that's the one we're going to look at today. But just a touch on the outside of your academic studies, other sides to student life that make it such an enjoyable experience here in TU Dublin. We have our sports and leisure clubs. So we have nearly 40 sports clubs across a variety of different ranges of sports. You can see some examples here: boxing, sailing, GAA, swimming, skiing. Many sports, whether you want to come in and continue sport as a hobby, whether you want to start something completely new as a beginner, or whether you're already participating in a sport at an elite level and you want to continue that on, there's something for everyone. And they're a great opportunity for you to meet people outside your program, outside your discipline, and get to meet the wider student population. And if sport isn't your thing, we also have a number of societies. So we have nearly 100 societies now across a range of different areas, including volunteering, performing arts, political, religious, sign language, student media. Lots of different programs there. You can see dance, chess. We even have a tea drinking society who meet up to play board games and drink tea. So there really is so many different opportunities to meet people out of your program. And a lot of our students say that the highlight of their time in TU Dublin has been those connections that they've made through their clubs and societies. And alongside that, then, what makes TU Dublin so unique is our student supports and the great access our students have to them. So you might have remembered I mentioned we have 5 different campuses across Dublin. And once you're a student at TU Dublin, you can use any of our facilities across any of our campuses. So if you're a student studying on the Grange Gorman campus, but you live closer to the Tala campus, you can of course go there to use their library, use their sports centre, use any of the academic supports there. So it's a great opportunity if you live closer to one and are studying in the other to use those supports across the different campuses. And we also have other supports, such as our career guidance department, who will help you tailor your CV, set up your LinkedIn. We have our free health centre, so we have a doctor and nurse on site. So if you need vaccines, if you're not feeling well, you need an antibiotic, you can go visit them. We have our financial aid and accommodation services. So while we don't have any of our own on-site accommodation, they will help you source accommodation, whether it's through private rentals or through different agreements. So do feel free to reach out to them if accommodation is something you need to support your studies. We have the Maths Learning Centre and the Academic Writing Centre, which are both great academic facilities to use, whether you need help with an assignment, your day-to-day class material, because of course the transition from school to university requires a whole different way of learning and writing. So those supports are there. And you can avail of our disability services and our counselling services as well, who are great supports should you need them. And for all of this information and anything else around TU Dublin and student life, we have our dedicated CAO hub, which is for all our undergraduate information. So you'll see there's information if you're a non-EU student, if you're an EU applicant, if you're coming in as a mature, if you're coming in through the QQI entry, more information on those scholarships, those access routes, the Erasmus, the international, the advanced entry, and if you do get an offer this year and you can't take it up for some reason, the deferred entry. So all of that is available on tudublin.ie/CAO. So at this point now, I'd like to thank you again for joining us. I'd like to hand over to my colleague Siobhan, who's going to introduce and talk about the physics programs here in TU Dublin.
Thank you, Megan. We're delighted to have this opportunity to tell you a little bit more and provide a little bit of background to the physics programs that we offer at TU Dublin. Physics has been a discipline within TU Dublin and DIT before it for decades. And we have a long tradition of education in this area, particularly in experimental physics. And currently we offer 5 distinct honours degree programmes at level 8 on the National Framework of Qualifications. These are all full 4-year programmes. They all incorporate a placement in year 3. They all have Erasmus opportunities for those students who wish to avail of studying abroad. And each one contains, as you would imagine, you'll be studying physics, you'll be studying maths, but each one also then offers a particular flavour or a particular topic that is of interest, particularly to society today. So the first one is physics technology, TU 877. And those of you who are interested in physics in the broad sense, but haven't quite decided what area of physics you'd like to enter into, physics technology is a very good option. The next option is physics with energy and environment. So it studies the same core physics, the same core maths as physics technology, but with some specialist modules that look at energy production, sustainability technologies, and generally issues relating to the scientific questions that the energy production and the environment brings to us. The next programme is again studying the core of physics, but with a very specific emphasis on medical physics and bioengineering. And just to mention, every hospital in the country will have a team of medical physicists, or they may even be called clinical engineers. And I suppose they're a little bit hidden, probably in a hospital environment. We probably don't even know they're there, but they have a real key role to play in the technology that our hospitals run on. And we'll hear a little bit more about that later. The next programme to mention is physics with data science. And this is again the same core physics, but now with some additional modules in the whole area of programming and data science. Really important area because everything we do today has banks of data associated with it. Understanding what to do with that data and how to manage it is really important. It's important to every industry, every organisation, nationally and internationally. And we'll hear a little bit more about that later on too. The last honours degree programme is science with nanotechnology, and this is half physics and half chemistry, with a very specific focus on material science and focusing on nanomaterials and nanotechnology. There isn't an industry, there isn't a sector in the economy that's not influenced by nanotechnology, whether it's the production of cosmetics or the production of solar cells to put on the roof of your house, or the reduction in chip sizes that's going into your phone or your laptop, or the technology, the touchscreen technology on your mobile phone. All of these incorporate nanotechnology one way or another. So if you have an interest in both physics and chemistry, that's a very good option. Earlier, Megan referenced level 7 programs. We offer one program in level 7 physics. It's called Industrial and Environmental Physics. Graduates after year 3 can progress to year 3 of physics technology, physics with or physics with energy and environment, or physics with medical physics and bioengineering. Many students do this very, very successfully. And in fact, many students who've come the level 7 route end up being some of the top students in our graduating class. And we'll hear a little bit more about that later on, because we have some students here who've come that route. So if we can move on there, Megan, just to mention that all of our programs, all of our level 8 programs are accredited by the Institute of Physics, which is exceptionally important because it's a nationally and internationally recognized recognition of the quality of our programs. As Megan said earlier on, we're based on the Grange Gorman campus in Central Quad. There, Central Quad is the middle picture you can see in the top row. It is an absolutely stunning campus. But more important than having a stunning campus and new facilities, what we have is state-of-the-art laboratories that our students spend an exceptional amount of time in. Students undertake their own experiments. It's not like in some instances in the school situation where somebody is demonstrating an experiment and as students you're looking on. Students have multiple opportunities each week to engage actively in the laboratory environment. It is a really important feature of our programs. The equipment we have is state of the art. When we get to year 3 and year 4, students have access to research grade equipment on a weekly basis. This progresses into final year for final year projects, and it's a really important aspect of our program, and one which we're very proud of, and one which we've been commended on. So just moving on, if we move on there, Megan, one of the biggest challenges, and you know, it's a challenge for each of us sitting here tonight talking to you, when you meet somebody and you say, I'm a physics lecturer or I'm studying physics, it's very difficult to answer the question, well, what can you do with physics? And the reality is there are such a myriad of opportunities that we'd need about 15 slides similar to this one, listing out the various places that our physics graduates end up in. And some of them you'd never think of: meteorology, metrology, the science of measurement, looking at technical training, geophysics, climate science, radiation science. The list is endless. And in fact, one of the things that physics graduates bring to an employer is their problem-solving and analytical ability in a scientific environment. That is a really important skill, and it is sought after by many employers. And, you know, if you were to look at a list of job opportunities, the word physics isn't often used in the headline of that role. For example, I'm a lecturer. Okay, if you delve a little bit deeper, I'm a physics lecturer, but ultimately I'm a lecturer. So the word physics doesn't necessarily have to appear there. But if we read down further into the role description, we'll see a background in physics is one of the things that's really desirable. There isn't a technology in your home, in any environment you go into, that there isn't physics involved in it somewhere. And I'd encourage you all to go to the website, the Institute of Physics website, which is shown at the bottom of the screen there, because it shows career paths and the multitude of career paths. And yes, it is difficult to understand, where is it? Will I land if I study physics? But what I can tell you for sure is that there are many, many opportunities. And it is a really worthwhile subject to study if you've an interest in it, if it's something that makes you passionate. So moving on there, Megan. So it's easy for me to say that because I'm a lecturer in the School of Physics, so why wouldn't I say it? So where do we look to know that that's the case? So we go and we talk to our graduates, and here's just what 3 of our graduates say. So Maeve Masterson is a graduate of physics with medical physics and bioengineering, and she says that she continues to value the solid academic foundation that TU Dublin provided, as it has empowered her to thrive in a complex and evolving healthcare environment. Ian Forrest, a graduate of physics with energy and environment, says, my education at TU Dublin was a balanced approach to the fundamentals of the subject with freedom to explore. Ian Carter, a graduate of physics technology, tells us that his degree equipped him with the essential skills and the confidence to tackle complex challenges. So if these are the kind of things, aspirations that you have and you enjoy physics, it is most certainly something that you should look towards. So now the most important part of the evening, and I suppose the most exciting for us, is the chance to introduce you to our graduates and to our current students. So I'm going to introduce them first of all, and then I'll call on them in turn, and they'll each tell you a little bit about their journey, and they're really interesting journeys and worth listening to. I'd also like to introduce you to our Head of Discipline for Physics. That's Professor Isabella Nedanova, who's also with us. So the 4 students and graduates we have, first of all, we've Adele Connolly. Adele is a second-year student in our Level 7 Industrial and Environmental Physics programme. Then we'll meet Aoife Gaffney, who's a recent graduate from Physics with Medical Physics and Bioengineering. We'll then meet Matt Hellis, and Matt is a recent graduate and a current PhD student from Science with Nanotechnology. And finally, we'll meet Zach Giles, and Zach is a current Year 3 student in Physics with Data Science. So first of all, I'm going to call on Adele to say a few words.
Hi, so as Siobhan already said, I'm in second year of the Level 7 Industrial and Environmental Physics. I also plan on going into the third year of the Medical Physics and Bioengineering programme after I finish my Level 7. I actually didn't do physics for the Leaving Cert. I did biology and chemistry and had no intention of doing physics coming into TUD. I came in through the Level 7 General Entry Science and was planning on going on to study biosciences. I was honestly quite anxious coming in with the thought of having to study physics, but I was really lucky and I had such an incredible lecturer who made it so engaging and made all the topics very easy to understand from the first day. All the lectures I've had so far are incredibly supportive and make every aspect of physics really enjoyable. There's also so many different opportunities, which is part of the reason that I decided to choose physics. One of the recent opportunities I had was to actually attend the Conference for Undergraduate Women and Non-Binary Physicists, which was held in the University of Warwick. That was just about a month ago now. I got to meet about 100 students across Ireland and the UK who are also undergraduate physics students like myself. It was a really incredible experience, honestly, one of the few of the best days of my life. I got to meet the Dame Jocelyn Bell Burnell, the astrophysicist, which was absolutely incredible. I guess some of my favorite areas so far studying physics have been optics and astrophysics. I really enjoy those, and I'm really enjoying. I'm looking forward to going on and looking at the more medical end of things. I really enjoy the labs. I really like getting to see the practical end of things of what we get to learn in the classroom. And that's, I think, all I have to say for the moment.
Thank you very much, Adele. And if any of you who've joined us tonight have questions for Adele or any of our students or graduates, we're more than happy to take them when we've had these presentations. So Aoife, a recent graduate, can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. So as Siobhan said, I graduated from medical physics and bioengineering. I graduated in 2020, and my start into TU Dublin is actually very similar to Adele's. So I also didn't do physics in school. I did chemistry and biology as well, and I went into general science. And so I'd never really studied physics before except for the junior cert, and I was very surprised that I really enjoyed it. And from general science, then you get to choose a few courses to go into second year, and one of them was medical physics, which I'd never heard of before. But kind of looking into it a bit more, I thought it sounded very interesting. I like the physics side of it, but also a bit more the healthcare focus is really interesting. So went into it in second year and had a few great opportunities during my time in TU Dublin. So one of them, in third year, I got to go on Erasmus. So I spent 6 months in Münster in Germany. So I studied in the university there, and it was a brilliant experience. Got to meet lots of new people, travel, study in a new university, and see kind of their style of teaching. So yeah, that was a brilliant experience. Then in my second semester, third year, I got to do my work placement in St. James's Hospital. This was one of the reasons I picked to go to TU Dublin, was the work placement, because I thought it'd be a great way of sort of getting an idea for a job that I could go into. So I was in James's for 6 months in the medical physics department, and I was mainly based in the diagnostic imaging department. So I got to see what the job would look like on a day-to-day basis and get a really good kind of understanding of the job, and also developed a lot of skills that have helped me then applying for jobs after I graduated. So then in my final year, I went back to James's for my final year project, which was I was 3D printing phantoms of the sinuses to test a particular filter on a CT scanner in James's Hospital. So this again was great experience. Learning more and working on kind of a specific project was really interesting. Once I graduated, then I worked in DCU for a year as a lab technician. So I was helping out with the first and second year physics labs. I then went on to Limerick to work as a medical physicist in the medical physics department in UHL. So I was there for a year, and then I went back to UCD to do my master's in medical physics. And then since 2024, I've been working in St. James's Hospital again in the medical physics department. So I'm in the diagnostic imaging department again, and I'm kind of split between general diagnostic imaging and nuclear medicine is where I spend a lot of my time in nuclear medicine, which is, yeah, really enjoying it. And definitely my experience in TU Dublin helped me a lot. We had a lot of group work and things like that in TU Dublin, and that's helped in my role now, which is I'm working with a team the whole time. So yeah, it was great for that. I think that's all.
Thank you very much, Aoife. And Matt, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey?
Sure. So I'm Matt. I graduated in 2021 from the Science with Nanotechnology course, which is the 50-50 chemistry physics course. I was really interested in doing physics. I had a passion for it in a lay term from watching TV shows and that kind of thing. I didn't particularly know when I put it down that it was half chemistry. So that was a moment, but it has given me such a wide breadth of understanding beyond how physics works, but also how the chemistry all helps and how on the nanoscale it's all interacting and it all tells a story together. So I continued through my undergraduate and then have moved on to a PhD directly from my undergraduate with support from TU Dublin and the Irish Research Council. And this has been an excellent opportunity to develop myself as a person and a researcher as I research using holograms to correct vision problems like lazy eye and with refractive error treatments like typical glasses or spectacles. So my path here was slightly different than the previous two you've heard. I started as a mature student. When I was in school, I did physics for 1 year in 5th year, failed 2 exams and dropped it. I didn't think I was cut out for it. I got rid of it. Turns out it took a bit of hard work, but evidently I was capable of it. So even if you're not incredibly confident, if this is what you want to do, I encourage you to do it, and I encourage you to work hard to make it work for you. So my favorite things that have happened during my undergraduate include, in first year, we do a thing called problem-based learning in the level 8s, where you're teamed up with a few people, you're posed a physics problem, and with the guidance of a lecturer, you have to figure out the physics that's involved, you study it up, part of it, the other people in your team study up other parts, and then collectively you solve that problem. And it's such a great learning experience. It changes the pace of a day as well, because if you're going in lecture after lecture, then that change of pace can be a breath of fresh air. in third year, I got to do a placement in UCD in the space science department. Space was the thing in physics I was most interested in. My undergraduate didn't have much to do with space though. So they facilitated me getting a placement in UCD where I could get a taste of that part that I was most passionate about. And it was a lot of fun. I developed a new power supply for their educational satellite. So it was a lot of electrical engineering related stuff. So stepping out of my comfort zone again, but it was excellent. In fourth year, I did my fourth year project, which was based on diagnosing COVID-19 from chest x-rays. And this was during the height of COVID-19. And that was excellent. It was all coding based, lots of AI and machine learning happening. And it was really cool to, get hands-on with that stuff and develop these systems myself. So those were all great. And the entire course has put me in a fantastic position to excel in my PhD, from which I have gotten to go all over the world telling people about what I'm doing, which is another really cool thing. And I'm just super grateful to have done that course and worked hard enough to succeed in it. And that's that.
Thank you, Matt. That's great. And finally, Zach, can I invite you to tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Zach. I'm a third year student in physics with data science. Initially in TED, I actually didn't start out with physics. I went straight into college straight after, or as soon as COVID hit in 2020, into engineering in Bolton Street. But after a few weeks, I found out that it wasn't for me. So I took 2 years off away from college that let me kind of develop as a person and really find what I actually wanted to do. And I came across, while I was in a job, I really liked working with data and, tracking trends over stuff. And I investigated and ended up with physics with data science. And I was like, oh, that seems like a perfect course for me. And I'm so glad that I took those 2 years off because it really let me find something that I was passionate about and I'd actually enjoy. So after 3 years within the course now, I'd definitely say it ended up being a great decision. Physics with data science, it incorporates the elements of both data and physics seamlessly with a focus on the other. So with physics, with physics with data science, there's a little bit more of a focus on data-based and computational physics, which is the extra modules that we do, where you do coding and data science itself, where you do classification, say, of different stars and galaxies and machine learning. And there's AI is going to be a big part of our lives for the next few years, and data science feeds quite well into it. Currently, I'm on placement in the Environmental Protections Agency because I'm in third year. I'm working on a groundwater Power BI model where we have a model that basically puts together all the modern data for significant pressure groundwater pressure sites across Ireland. And essentially what I'm doing is maintenance in the model. So updating the data, bug fixing, anything really that comes with it, So I think during the placement as well, I was so set on going straight into a job after I'm finished. That was my plan. But with the placement, it's actually changed my perspective. It's not that I don't like the placement. I think it just gives me the perspective of seeing both sides of education and a working environment. And it's gotten me to think about going further with my education or going straight back into the job. And it's made me think about that. So I'm still on the fence about that now, but it's given me that opportunity, to really develop my own thoughts in my head and give me the experience needed. I don't really have much else. Thanks for that.
That's great. Thank you, Zach. Indeed, thank you all. All very different experiences, and I think that's a really important thing to remember is everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey is unique, but yet collectively we come together as students in a course and have the opportunity to study, but to take the opportunities that come to us, whether it's through our learning or extracurricular activities. Our colleague David has opened up the chat to questions, so please do feel free to add in a question there if you have one. But while we're waiting on questions to come in, can I just ask, can I just turn back to Aoife for a moment, because we've talked a lot about courses and we've talked a lot about what you might study and the opportunities you might have academically. But Aoife, I know you participated in some of the student life, the other things that we do. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was in the surf club in TU Dublin my whole way through college. So this was a great club. I got to meet a lot of great people, and we would go on around 3 trips a year to the west of Ireland mainly. I was also on the committee in second and fourth year. So it was really fun. Met a load of great people during it, and still friends with a lot of the people that I met then. Still friends with them now. Yeah.
That's great. And you mentioned there, Aoife, being part of the committee, and they're the kind of things that bring some additional skills beyond what you study in your physics course. And just to maybe, I might turn to Matt for a minute. Matt, what would you say are the skills that you brought from your undergraduate program besides physics and chemistry and maths and things? Matt, so you're on mute there. There's always one.
During my undergrad, particularly in the first year and first semester, I really struggled with the maths. And I thought I was going to fail. And in that moment, I realized I could let this happen or not let this happen. And that moment allowed me to develop and then work on a work ethic, which has been monumental in my development as a researcher. I've become very efficient in what I do. I don't want to say I'm particularly good at it, but efficiency has been a huge thing, and that has been driven home in like the labs that were done throughout the undergrad. You're in this lab, you don't have all day, you have to get your work done. It's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but being efficient means that you can also enjoy it more because you're less stressed time-wise. So personal efficiency is a large one. And learning how to study was a big one. Like during undergrad, you have to study. You're not getting through if you don't study. Same with the Leaving Cert. You got to study. You got to do the work. And it's the same going on, shockingly. And learning how to do that is one of the things that has really allowed me to once again perform to the best of my ability in not only my undergrad but beyond.
Thank you, Matt. And actually, just when we're talking about those additional skills, whether it's time management or efficiency, I think, or I hope we would all agree that communication skills is something that each of you have demonstrated here this evening. I see Adriana, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, has said, do you do research in particle physics? Isabella, do you want to take that question in terms of research?
Yeah.
In particle physics, we certainly have particle physics modules in our programs. Isabella?
Yeah. Thanks, Siobhan. We do have collaborations with colleagues who do research in particle physics. For example, in University of Glasgow, every year we have students who go on industrial placement, and we have a colleague who is adjunct staff to our school called Dr. Dimo Maniewski from University of Glasgow. So he's very active in particle physics research. So if you are interested in joining his group, there is definitely this opportunity, and it is through cooperation of one of our lecturers and the research group in Glasgow. So we don't have a research center in researching particle physics, but we definitely can offer this opportunity to our students to at least experience at early stage, and then if they are interested, they can continue later with our collaborators.
Thanks, Isabella. And I think Richard has put in a question or a comment relating to physics and maths competencies. And you will notice from our course pages that that were put into the chat earlier on that the requirement in mathematics from Leaving Cert, if we're talking about Leaving Cert students, is 03H7. And what I always say is if you've achieved that relatively comfortably, then you will be fine with the mathematics element of physics. If you've achieved that with an awful lot of help and support through extensive grinds, I'm not talking about some grinds, but through extensive grinds, then I would say, you know, that might be a challenge. But Megan referred earlier on to the Maths Learning Centre, and it is a really important resource for students that they can go to and receive the support, the additional support beyond their maths. And we do have 4 very important maths modules in our honours degree programmes, 2 in first year and 2 in second year, and they provide a really valuable resource in terms of upskilling our students in the maths that's needed. And so that's really important. And we really focus on competencies in maths there. And maths is a little bit like you need to practice maths to become good at it. And you need to do it over and over again. Like a musician, the top musician who plays the piano at the top level still has to do their scales every day. So the key to mathematics competency is practicing lots over and over again. And I think the students would agree with that. But the support is there in relation to maths learning. So that is important. Just moving down, no problem, Adriana. And there, David has put in the Maths Learning Centre again. Okay. I'm just looking at the time. Just while we're waiting on some other questions to come in, maybe if I can go to Adele. Adele is in second year undergrad, and Adele, maybe tell us a little bit of what it's like for you doing 2 things. One, what it's like in the labs. And the hands-on nature of it. And the other thing that you might tell us a little bit about is your role as a student ambassador. So maybe refer to the labs first. And if I interrupt you, it's because a question has come in and we'll come back to you. So if you'd like to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I really enjoy the labs. It's like you're quite independent in them. Not that you don't get any help, of course. There is a lab supervisor who will go around and kind of explain what to kind of do in the experiment, but won't necessarily demonstrate it. So that's kind of skills that you're working on. I find my lab supervisor is very helpful. I find when it comes to labs, there's a nice balance that you want someone that is going to help you so you can get to where you want to go, but not help you too much because you don't develop those critical skills that you need for problem solving. It's really nice getting to work in partners and kind of getting to know the others in my class a bit better, and like learning more about communication and teamwork and kind of bouncing ideas off each other on how to solve different problems. So I really enjoy the practical aspect. We get a good few hours every week in the labs, which I know other universities isn't necessarily the same. As a student ambassador, I really enjoy it. So I get paid to do little jobs for the university. And what's great is they understand that I am a student and that my education is obviously my top priority. So we'll be given out like possible jobs, and usually kind of first come, first served. But if they ask you to do a job, they completely understand that if you have exams or assignments, that like it's not, no pressure is put on you. So I really enjoy it. I've gotten to work both open days, and kind of greeting the different prospective students coming in, answering different questions about both physics and the university as a whole. I also got to work all 3 days at higher options in the RDS, so kind of doing the same, talking specifically about my experience of physics, and also even like being a social media ambassador, so getting to do different videos that are posted online, kind of talking about how to get to the university, and just different things about university life. I absolutely love it. It's definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Thanks a million, Adele. And Adele, you mentioned about getting to college. Our courses are all offered on the Grange Gorman campus, which is very close to the city centre. One Lewis line almost brings you into the building. It's so close. That's the green line, I think. Somebody will nod at me if I'm saying the right thing. The red Lewis line comes within a 10-minute walk of the campus. There are multiple buses. So the campus is very well served by public transport and very accessible. Just while I see somebody is typing a question there, Aoife, if I can go back to you, you undertook Erasmus in Munster. And you spent the first half of third year in Munster. So just tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yep. So yeah, it was from kind of September to sort of January, February, due to the German studying year. But it was a really good experience. It was a bit tough initially. It was a bit less practical than say my time in TU Dublin was, so it was kind of a lot more theory focused, and there was a bit of that, but it was also great to kind of apply myself to something that I found a bit more challenging and putting the time in. And it was also another great way of meeting new people. And in a lot of the classes, you were kind of in groups to do exercises together, so that was another great way to meet people, and we were able to then help each other in that aspect. They also had kind of a specific Erasmus group in the college that would organize events for Erasmus students. So we got to go to Berlin for a weekend with the Erasmus group. So yeah, things like that were brilliant experience. And then even just getting to travel around Germany on the weekends to different parts of it and to the Netherlands as well was great.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Aoife. And Jamie is asking about astro and astronomy in physics technology and industrial environmental physics. So in both of those, in year one, in the case of physics technology, there's part of a module that introduces astrophysics and astronomy. And then later on, then we really concentrate on the core physics that's really required in order to be able to understand astronomy and astrophysics. Zach mentioned earlier on the data science aspect of managing data sets from astronomy research that he's had the opportunity to engage with. And then there's there's a little bit more that comes towards the end of the program. In industrial environmental physics, the same opportunity exists, but in second year for those students. Isabella?
Thanks, Siobhan. Just wanted to clarify that in recent development, actually, all 4 programs have a common first year. And it is good because as it seems like you are still not you haven't made your decision which one of whether it's physics technology or the other one is more interesting. So we have made this change now, and all 4 programs, excluding the nanoscience, have a common first year. So you will have the opportunity to actually have exposure to all different specialty modules for the different programs in the first year, and it would be possible to make a change, of course, subject of passing all the exams and passing successfully, completing the first year. So there is a module which is concerning gastronomy in first year, also another one, it's part of the module in second year, but this is for both programs. And as Siobhan said, in later years, there will be another exposure in the final year.
But also then modules like particle physics, quantum mechanics, that also contribute to that area of study. Okay, we're coming to the end, and we'll just okay, Adriana, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Can I use books and research related to the physics if I will be on an engineering course? If you're on an engineering course, of course, every TU Dublin site has a library, and physics textbooks, the same as music textbooks or engineering textbooks or chemistry or whatever, are available in all of the libraries. And any of you who visited our campus on Grangegorman recently, or if you're out and about in the next few months and choose to have a walk around the campus, you'll notice that there's a brand new building that is about to be opened. They're just finishing the landscaping of it at the moment. It is right beside Central Quad. It is the student hub, and it will house our brand new library facilities. So all of the books you're referring to there will be available. All books are available to all students within the library. There's also extensive facilities within our libraries for group work, for students to book group work areas if they've an assignment that needs to be done, and also personal study areas, which become very important, particularly at this time of the year as we approach the fun time of exams. So it's a really exciting development on the Grangegorman campus, and we're all very much looking forward to seeing our new library and our student hub that will incorporate a whole myriad of student services. It's a beautiful facility, and we're all looking forward. It'll be available from very soon, but certainly in September. So Megan, I think we might close at this stage. And I think we'll give our final word to one of our graduates, Anna Colano. And Anna is a graduate of medical physics, physics with medical physics and bioengineering. And one of the comments she has in her biography and her journey has been really exciting. And she's now CEO of a company. She incorporates her scientific knowledge with the needs of society in that company. Really, really amazing graduate. But she says something really important, and it's good, I think, to end on this. Don't be afraid to follow your passions and explore new perspectives. You will never know where they might lead. And I think that's a lovely way to finish our time thinking about physics. I really hope that this has been helpful to all of you. Should you have questions after this webinar, please do just send them on to admin.physics@tudublin.ie. It's at the end of the screen there, and we will endeavour to get back to you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And we really look forward to welcoming you to our community of physics students and staff in TU Dublin in the near future.
And before we close, I'd just like to thank again Dr. Siobhan Daly for her wonderful presentation and interaction with our student ambassadors here, and all of our student ambassadors who have given up their time here this evening to be with us. And as David mentioned in the chat there, this webinar will be available. The recording will be posted on our website during the week, and you'll also be emailed a copy of the recording, so you'll be able to go back and review lots of the interesting information. And we just remind you as well, the CAO Change of Mind will reopen on May the 6th at 12 midday. So if you haven't already listed the physics programs, don't forget to list them, and don't forget to list them as your first preference. So thank you all.